Hey, sports fans, this is Robert with WTP Sports News here live tonight. Man, we got a show for you. We're going to do our post. We got our man post game in the house with us, and he's going to do our Notre Dame Fighting Irish preview of their season 2025. You see, he's decked out in his Notre Dame gear. How you feeling this evening post game?
Oh man, I feel absolutely wonderful. It's always great to talk about the University of Notre Dame, a place I love. I grew up rooting for, I grew up going to. I can recall times me and my brothers, me and my cousins sneaking into Notre Dame to play basketball. It's a place where my daughters go to their camps and train with the basketball team. She got pictures with her doggo, Miles, and even the head coach. So let's get it.
All right, bro. All right. Well, we all know how you feel about Notre Dame being an independent team in college football. There's been a lot of talk going on about it, and you've given us your thoughts on it, and we appreciate the thoughts you've given. If y'all ever get a chance, go check out his YouTube page so that way you can see his thoughts for yourself because he's been giving us some good nuggets about why Notre Dame will continue to be independent until they are forced to join the conference because it only makes sense. But let's get into it, my brother. You ready for this?
Let's go.
All right, here we go. How are you feeling about the defensive tackle group as a unit? Are they more run stoppers or pocket disruptors? And how deep is this unit?
I feel great about the defensive tackle position, even though we've lost Riley Mills and Howard Cross, who were great players. And if Riley Mills doesn't get hurt against IU in the playoffs, who knows what happens? But that's neither here nor there. We can start at Jared Dawson, 6'2" or 6'1", 300-pound transfer from Louisville. He has depth and girth to that defensive line. Elijah Hughes, 6'3", 290, transfer from USC. Then you got Jason Onye, 6'5", 308, a lot of beef, fifth year senior. Donovan Hines, a little bit on the smaller end, 6'2", 280. He's more of a pass rusher from the inside. You got Sean Sevillano, who I'm most excited about. Sophomore year, coming into the sophomore year, big 6'2", 340, and he has a lot of upside. Armel Mookum, 6'3", 305, may be the most athletic out of the group. So when you talk about the defensive tackle position, depth, depth, depth. A lot of depth on that defensive line, which we haven't had in years past. And I'm looking forward to them being disruptive. I think they'll be great against the run and they'll be solid against the pass.
Yeah, Melissa Graham is saying that she's missing J-Bo, but how you think somebody gonna be able to fill his shoes?
J who she mean by J-Bo?
Melissa, let us know who you mean by J-Bo. Level Up Sports 10 wants to know what's your thoughts on the transfer's impact on defense? Which transfer is the one to watch? Let's talk about the defensive line first. Is there a transfer on there that you think is going to be a standout?
Yeah, when we talk about transfers, we can talk about the defensive tackle position. We can talk about the safety position, but we'll stick to the defensive line. Jared Dawson, defensive tackle from Louisville. I think he can be disruptive in this scheme, and I'm excited for him to. He's either going to start, and if he doesn't start, he's going to be a depth piece, and he'll get playing time. We also got Elijah Hughes from USC. I haven't heard too much about him, but another good depth piece. So I'm excited about the transfers as well.
She's talking about Jordan.
Jordan Patello, yes, we'll get to him. He got injured, and he's going to miss some time. We'll get to Jordan Patello.
All right, cool, cool, cool. Let's talk about your next position group. What type of D ends or edge rushers are on the roster? That says Rooster. Are they are they a good fit for the new defensive coordinator system?
Defensive end position, I'm extremely excited about. Marcus Freeman likes long, athletic defensive ends, and we got just that this coming season. Bubakar Traore, 6'4", 238. He got injured early last season. Probably ends up leading his teams in sacks had he not got injured and missed the rest of the season. Then you got the son of the Hall of Famer, excuse me, Bryce Young, 6'7", 260, an athletic freak coming off the end. So we got some great defensive ends and some guys that's ready to break out, as well as some good depth with Josh Burnham, and you got a young guy out of Texas who we beat out your Longhorns for, and Logan Thomas, 6'4", 215. He's on the lighter end, but he can get after the passer as well. Jordan Patello, who the nice lady was just mentioning, he'll miss some time this year with an injury. I'm hoping, what I'm hearing is that he'll be back towards October. So I'm hoping that's true and he doesn't miss a lot of the season because he'll be a great addition to that defensive line as well.
All right, cool, cool, cool. Yeah, she's saying Bubakar back is huge. Let's talk about your next position group on the defensive side of the ball. Let's look at your linebackers. What's your thoughts on your linebacker group? And what can you tell us about the linebacker unit? And can they be better than last year's unit?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think they'll be better than last year's unit. Um, let's start with Drake Bowen, 6'2", 238, right in the middle. This guy is all over the field, makes plays, tackles well. He's going to be the heartbeat of that defense. You can go with Jalen Sneed, a guy who's probably, if it wasn't for Marcus Freeman, will be a SEC guy. 6'2", 238, can fly. They use him a lot off the edge, but can he continue to progress coming into his senior year so he can be that complete linebacker? I'm extremely excited for him. And then another SEC guy, if it wasn't for Marcus Freeman, will be Jaden Osbury. So and then you can't forget about KVA and Matt Farimo. So Notre Dame has done an excellent job in these past few years recruiting the linebacker position and getting guys out of the SEC that normally wouldn't go to Notre Dame. These are athletic guys who can get to the ball and hit players and hurt them. So I'm excited about the linebacker crew. This the linebacker core will be better than last year's, that's for sure.
Yeah. Melissa is saying it's the best linebacker unit in the country. Where would you rate them amongst all the other linebackers or other teams in the country? Are they top five? Are they the best? What's your thoughts on that?
They have the potential to be the best. I definitely think it's a top five unit. They have a lot. Again, they got a lot of depth on the defensive line, and I'm excited about them. Led by Drake Bowen, this is going to be an exciting group to watch. Notre Dame fans.
She said Madden is up in weight and bulk. She just saw him today. Oof. Okay, okay. Okay, well, when we get into the schedule, I hope that you're going to be mentioning these same guys in some of these games that they're going to be playing because they got a tough stretch in the beginning part of their season, man. So we're going to get into that a little bit later on. Let's talk about your cornerbacks. Who will be the starters at the cornerback position? How multiple in the coverage scheme can these guys be?
So you'll have freshman All American, and now going into his sophomore year, who was forced to play with the injury to Ben Morrison, and he played outstanding, lights out last season. So you'll have Leonard Moore, and then you'll have Christian Gray. two really good corners who could be high draft picks in the next couple years. They'll sprinkle in some Carson Hobbs, some Creed Thomas. You should see playing time for Mike Mickens, who's done one heck of a job recruiting the corner and the safety positions at Notre Dame. Nickel, you'll see the transfer from Alabama, Devontae Smith. That's one of the guys I'm excited to see play for the upcoming season. I'm really this past these corners at Notre Dame is something I'm not used to seeing. They're very good. They're long. They're athletic, and they like to be physical. So the DBs at the corners, especially at Notre Dame, probably a strength on the team. I would say.
All right, all right. Well, let's talk about your safety unit before we go over to the offense. And before we do that, we're going to talk a little bit about your coach. But let's talk about this safety unit. Is this an aggressive unit at safety? What types of schemes might we see used with this group?
The safety position again has a lot of depth, Rob. I'm excited for this position group. We got a Don Schuler returning and physical guy, leader of the backfield. We saw the type of hit he put on. Who was that for Georgia? I believe it was ETN, made him fumble. Georgia was in Notre Dame's territory, getting ready to score in the playoffs last season, and he forces a big fumble on a big hit off on ETN. So it starts with a Don Schuler. We got the transfer from Virginia Tech, Jalen Stroman, who was projected by some to be a second round pick in this year's NFL draft. Now he's not guaranteed to be the starter because he's battling Luke Talich, who's a 6'4", 210 junior at Notre Dame. So a lot of depth, so much depth that Brian Urlacher's son transferred out because he knew he wasn't going to be able to get much playing time with all the depth we have at the safety position. They like to play a lot of man at Notre Dame, and they like to blitz a lot. They'll bring their safeties up, they'll blitz them. I know with Chris Ash in, it'll be a little different, but I don't think there's going to be much change to the system. What changes he does bring in, he'll sprinkle in a little bit here or there. So safeties, one of the better rooms in the country.
Yeah, let's talk about Freeman real quickly, and then we'll go and talk a little bit about Ash. How big is Freeman to Notre Dame? Because after that loss to Northern Illinois, a lot of people were calling for his head. They wasn't thinking he was that great of a coach. He turned that thing around and led Notre Dame to the national championship game. How big is Freeman to Notre Dame?
Well, after the Northern Illinois loss, there were people in the fan base panicking, not sure if he was the guy. But yeah, although I could say after that game he was on the hot seat, I don't think his job was quite in danger. Now, reeling off all the wins in a row he did, getting us huge wins against Georgia and Penn State. Teams, Notre Dame has struggled for I don't know how long to win big games like that. And to do all that in one season, Marcus Freeman, for me, has to have a catastrophic season for him to do wrong for me. Because right now, in my mind, Marcus Freeman can't do much wrong.
Let's talk a little bit about Chris Ash. What's the difference in the defense that Chris Ash will run in comparison to what Al Golden ran last year?
There isn't going to be much difference. Chris Ash wasn't brought in to revamp and give this defense a makeover. You're basically going to see the same thing. He even said it at his press conference when he was introduced. You're basically going to see the same defense. He might sprinkle in a little bit of zone because we were such a man to man team for the last couple of years under Al Golden. He may sprinkle in a little bit of zone defense, but outside of that, you're not going to see too many changes with this defense.
Do you feel like Chris Ash is the man for the job?
If Marcus Freeman could have made a lot of hires to replace Al Golden. If Marcus Freeman trusts Mr. Ash, then I'm good with it. Again, he doesn't have to do too much. This is a loaded, talented defense, brother. Please just don't mess it up. That's all he has to do is not mess it up. I don't expect him to make a bunch of changes, have him playing 3-4 and blitzing off the edge. No, it's gonna be the same defense, 4-3, 4-2, 5-ish. They mix that in with the rover slash linebacker. The rover blitzes and off the edge and drops back in coverage. So, but it's basically a linebacker. I don't expect much change in this defense.
Okay, I'm a huge Chris Ash fan. He was at Texas for a year before Tom Herman got fired, and so I'm a huge fan, man. He can really call defense, man. I really like him. I think he's going to be a good fit at Notre Dame. We got a couple questions about Love, but we'll get to those when we start talking about the running back unit. Let's go ahead and switch over to the offensive side of the ball and see what you got for us there. What's your thoughts on the O line unit? How much experience is there? And what will the strength of the unit be? Run fits or pass pro?
Well, the offensive line is going to be an experienced unit. It's going to be a big unit. It's going to have great depth. The you A lot of people here keep hearing me say depth because that's what Marcus Freeman has done a great job at when building his program is depth. O line is going to be hell to deal with. It all starts with right guard Charles Jagasaw, who will likely be a top 10 pick when he comes out of Notre Dame. That dude, 6'7", 320, sophomore, and he's going to be a monster. Um, Ashton Craig at center, Billy Schroff at left guard. Anthony Knapp was a true freshman last year, and he started 15 games for us and he was rushing the action due to injuries. And I think going into his sophomore year, he's going to be better. Emil Wagner at right tackle, 6'6", 293 junior. So this offensive line brings a lot of experience. These guys have played. A lot of them had to step in because of injury, and we lost a few really good offensive linemen because of the depth we have. So I expect this offensive line to be great at running the ball, and they'll be improved at pass blocking, which they will definitely need to be improved at this season with the type of quarterback we're going to start.
Okay. Let's go back and look at Michael Campbell's his statement about the defense. He said the change is going to make it they're going to make it a plus, and he's going to position the D ends out wider like the NFL for more running space. What's your thoughts about that kind of a technique and strategy for the defense for Notre Dame? You think that's something that they should do? You think it's going to benefit them? What's your thoughts?
Yeah, that's a really good point. I forgot to mention Michael Campbell. Thank you for that. Yes, that is one thing that they're going to do with the defensive ends is make them line up wider outside of the tackle, which should be probably better for pass rushing. So that's a very good point because Notre Dame got some big, long, athletic defensive ends where you have to position them to get pressure on the quarterbacks. Good point, my man.
All right, all right. What can we expect out of your tight end unit? And are they going to be a set of tight ends, or are you going to go with like 12 personnel sometime? What is that going to look like for us from your tight end room?
Notre Dame is normally elite at the tight end room. A lot of people, excuse me, consider Notre Dame to be tight end university. This year, my eyes are on Eli Raridan, the 6'7" tight end. He's an athletic freak. Don't believe me? He has some high school basketball tape floating around YouTube that you can go and check out. That's Eli Raridan, 6'7", 251-pound senior. It's his time, and he has to step up because if he does, Eli Raridan is going to be a matchup nightmare for linebackers and safety, and he's going to be able to attack the seam of the defenses this year. So I love Eli Raridan and the athleticism and size he brings to that tight end room. Depth is not as great as years past, but still good. You got Kevin Bauman, James Flanagan, Jack Larson, and you also have the transfer tight end from Arkansas and Ty Washington. But the cream of the crop in this room right now is definitely Eli Raridan, and he's going to have to be the quarterback's best friend, seeing as though the starting quarterback this year is going to be a first time starter.
All right, all right. What level of excitement do you have for the wide receiver unit? Who will be the surprise?
Oh man, Rob, I'm excited about this wide receiver room. We bring back Jaden Greathouse, who some would argue. I know Jeremiah Smith was in the playoffs, but some would argue that Jaden Greathouse had the best playoff run at wide receiver, seeing what he did against Penn State and also against Ohio State, putting up big numbers. Jordan Faison is gonna be key in the passing game for Notre Dame. Also, my surprise player and who I'm looking forward to is Malachi Fields, the transfer wide receiver from Virginia. He's 6'4", 220 pounds, a big physical receiver who can get downfield, can win the 50-50 ball. I mean, this guy caught 55 catches, 808 yards, 5 touchdowns for Virginia. And I definitely could see him leading this receiving room because I definitely think Notre Dame would like to pass the ball more this season than years past, especially moving on from an athletic running quarterback like Riley Leonard.
All right, all right. Michael also said that 12 personnel, oh, I took that up. 12 personnel was not a primary formation for the OC, like in past years with Tommy Reese. Slow phase offense, Denbrock offense is a wide receiver driven offense. Do you agree with that? Do you think that he's more of a wide receiver driven offensive coordinator?
Absolutely, but we gonna get to that.
We're going to get to that.
Oh yeah. Also, speaking about the wide receivers, you also have Will Pauling, the transfer from Wisconsin. Now I know he got banged up at the end of his time at Wisconsin, but this guy, when he's healthy, has juice, and y'all seen it in the 2023 bowl game against LSU. So look for them to sprinkle Will Pauling in also, maybe even on special teams.
The running back room is one of the best in the nation. Tell us about them. What type of rushing totals are you looking to see from them? And also, you can couple that with your Parlay Poe had a question for us as well about love. Let me find that question as well so you can tackle all of those at the same time. Let me find it. He said, "What is love's ceiling?"
Heisman Trophy.
He said, "Heisman Trophy." Tell us some more about that running back room. What do you think their totals can be this year, and how much of an impact are they going to have on that offense since no longer having Riley Leonard?
Yeah, well, the running game is the bread and butter for Marcus Freeman. Marcus Freeman, from the time he got hired as head coach, he talked about being an inside out type of program, and This running back room, Rob, I'm loving it. Jeremiah Love. See, the thing is, a lot of people when you speak about running back units, they'll say Penn State. Penn State goes too deep, and rightfully so. They have a talented room. But we stole Penn State's running back coach this offseason, Rob. And not only that, I believe that Notre Dame has more depth at the running back position. You can start at Jeremiah Love. Oh my goodness. 163 carries last season, 1,125 yards, and 17 touchdowns. What I would like to see Notre Dame do is get him more involved in the passing game because I feel like he's dynamic. He can be dynamic in the passing game as well with that offensive line. I do not think Notre Dame is not the type of school who's going to run him to the ground and give him 25, 30 carries each game. We got too much depth for that. Jadarian Price is the second running back who's a slasher. He's going to be awesome. You got Aeneas Williams as the third running back. And Jabron Payne, really good running back, but he was out last year with an injury. He's back this season. And I'm surprised he did not transfer because of all the depth in the running back room. And then you got youngins like Kedron Young and Nolan James. Now, here's the thing. I know Notre Dame wants to pass the ball a little bit more this season, and rightfully so. But you have to replace or try to replace or even get half of Riley Leonard's rushing production. He had over 800 yards last season and 17 rushing touchdowns. I think it'll be much more of a tandem between Love and Jadarian Price, sprinkling in a little Aeneas Williams on third downs. But really, do you have to? Because Jeremiah Love, I don't even understand why they take him off the field. But yet I do because you want to keep a star like that healthy and ready to go all season long. So I'm looking for big rushing totals from this team, and I'm looking for a lot of production when it comes to touchdowns from the running backs as well.
All right, all right. Well, the question that everybody really want to know, because we already know about all those guys you named so far. Quarterback, who will be the starter week one, and how confident are you with this position room?
Let me just say to start, it's a beautiful thing that Notre Dame, for the first time in a few years, is going to trot out a homegrown quarterback and not go to the transfer portal for their starting quarterback. Which you probably with the way the team was built, you probably had to go get Riley Leonard and his style of play. But it's a beautiful thing for Notre Dame to have a homegrown quarterback. Who's going to be the starter, Rob? We don't know yet. The two players that are vying for the job is CJ Carr and Kenny Minchie. Now, I think CJ Carr is a highly touted guy. A lot of the fan base is really excited about CJ Carr at quarterback. And I think a lot of the media has prematurely anointed him as the starter, but the job hasn't been called yet. Because let me tell you, Kenny Minchie, in my opinion, fits what Mike Denbrock wants to do more. This is a guy who can move around. He said it himself when talking to the media that he was a better runner than Riley Leonard. Now that remains to be seen, Rob. But Kenny Minchie fits what Mike Denbrock wants to do more on offense. He can move, he can run, and he can throw. Think think about what Mike Denbrock did at LSU with Jaden Daniels. That's what I see. You're not saying that he's Jaden Daniels, but that's what I see Kenny Minchie sort of as. Now, both these guys could win the job. It can go either way. And I'm going to support and be happy whoever they name as the starting quarterback. I would say CJ Carr probably has the most upside but I think Kenny Minchie may fit what the offense wants to do a little more. Now, whoever wins the job, they don't need to hit their ceiling this year. They don't need to be outstanding. They just don't need to turn the ball over heavily because this team, the supporting cast they have for the starting quarterback at Notre Dame is supreme. They can run the ball. They got great receivers now. They got a big athletic tight end and a strong defense. We don't need our quarterback to be all world this season. Just don't make big mistakes and play through the running game. Set up that play action, hit that tight end down the seam, or big Malachi Fields, Faison, or whoever, Jaden Grayhouse. Just don't mess it up type of thing. You don't need to be all world this season with the roster they have surrounding you.
Cool, cool. Before we get into their schedule, let's tackle a couple of these questions that we got out there in the chat. FanDuel Zay has asked him, I think his name is Strauss, Craig, and Knapp have been limited due to injuries. Will this mess up the early season development?
I mean, will it mess up early season development and chemistry? Probably, but who you can say that probably for a lot of offensive linemen. But I will say this: the depth they have with five-star Will Black coming in at tackle, and with Gerby Lambert at tackle, another highly touted offensive lineman out of, I believe, Massachusetts. Notre Dame has a lot of depth to play with. So injuries, they might be able to sustain an injury or two on the offensive line, but I think those guys are going to be healthy and they'll be fine this season.
Level Up Sports 10 wants to know, well, what is his name? Aeneas Williams be a ball carrier or third down back. He's really scary with touches. What's your thoughts on him?
Yeah, man, Aeneas Williams is going to be a great back for Notre Dame. I don't think he'll get as many touches as he did last season because I believe that they want to get Love some passing, a little more passing down work. So Aeneas in years to come is going to be great. I just don't think this year, with them wanting to give Love more touches in the passing game, that he'll be as big as a factor.
Yeah, Melissa saying she believes he's going to get more touches than just third down. He can be dynamic too, so I can definitely see that happening as well. Let me see. Trying to see if we got any more questions in here before we go, or statements before we go into this schedule. All right, well, let's look at this schedule. And everybody that's in the chat, when we go through this schedule, of course, post game is going to give us his thoughts on the game. I want you to also let us know who you think is going to win that game and your thoughts on what you think might take place in those games. Let's look at this very first one right off the bat. And I think Notre Dame has a really, really seriously tough schedule in the beginning part of the season. They start off the season Sunday night on August the 31st. They travel to Miami to play the Miami Hurricanes. What's your thoughts on this game? Can y'all pull out the victory over the Miami Hurricanes on their home field?
Yes, definitely yes. And I'm gonna go as far to say as I think it's going to be a beatdown. I don't think it's going to be that close. Um, we Carson Beck, I think it's been reported that he's throwing and he's fine, but a right elbow injury and surgery on your throwing arm, I gotta question that. And also, I just believe that Notre Dame has the better roster right now. So I think you can mark that as a W Sunday night.
Okay, Melissa is saying they're going to win. City League TV's picking Notre Dame. Uh, Michael's picking Notre Dame by 2 touchdowns. Okay, okay. It doesn't get any easier. They get Texas A&M at home. What's your thoughts on that matchup?
Well, the good thing about this matchup is Notre Dame has a bye in between those games. So I think they'll be well rested. They'll be motivated. They don't want to let their head coach down. And I think they'll get the W. Now, this game, I think it'll be closer than the Miami Florida game. I think this would be a close game, but Notre Dame pulls it out in the tune of 24-20.
So you don't feel like the bye week will slow them down any? They'll get a chance to iron out the kinks from the first game against Miami, and they're gonna be able to roll.
Especially with a young quarterback. Yes.
Okay, okay. Let me see what anybody else got to say about that matchup in week 3, even though they're coming off of that bye. She said she agree a lot. Mossberg is of Level Up Sports Team said that's a tough one. Freeman gets big time, early season home win. Okay. And Love gets 150 in that game. He could. City League TV got Notre Dame in a nail biter. Okay, okay. So y'all got them going 2-0 so far. Listen, if they go 2-0 on that slate, we already know how it's going to look for the rest of the season. Then they get Purdue at the crib. They get to play another state of Indiana foe. We already know what that's going to be, but go ahead and tell us what your thoughts are.
For those of us who used to get whoopings back in the day, I don't know if they I don't know if they do that still. I don't know. But back in the day we used to get something called whoopings. And you know just imagine the worst whooping you ever got as a child when you did something you wasn't supposed to do. That's how we're going to do Purdue, just like we did them last season. They'll put up 40 or 50 points, and Purdue will score maybe one touchdown. Nothing to see here.
Melissa said Purdue is still mad they can't bring the drum out. We shut them out. She said y'all shutting them out again. Okay. City League TV says easy money. Like his cousin Kip would say, easy money.
Is that T1 right? That's
Yeah, that's
T1.
T1. Yeah, that's T1. Yeah.
What up, T1?
Mossberg is also saying they're gonna whoop them real good too. Let's look at your next game. Another SEC foe. You're gonna travel to Arkansas and play the Arkansas Razorbacks. I'm gonna tell you right now, that crowd is gonna be
Mhm.
going nuts. If they make that a night game, it's really gonna be nuts. What's your thoughts on this matchup?
Now, these are the games. We're getting into the games that worry me a little bit. And again, I know Notre Dame is the better team, the more talented team. But games like this is where Marcus Freeman has to prove that he can overcome. He has to be able to overcome the letdown games, the trap games, and get over that hump. That's what he needs to do. I think Notre Dame is going to beat Arkansas, but it'll be closer than what people think because I really like Arkansas's quarterback and their offensive coordinator. A lot of people think Arkansas is trash, and they might end up being trash, but when you got a couple playmakers on a Saturday playing football, anything can happen, but not here. I think Notre Dame gets the W. I think they head back to South Bend with a victory of 34-13.
Okay, so it's a 12 o'clock kickoff according to Melissa and Michael. So it's a 12 o'clock kickoff. So we already know that already. So hopefully it'll be a good game and a good test for y'all. And next up, y'all will get Boise State travels to South Bend. What's your thoughts on that matchup?
Again, we get into that part of the schedule where a letdown can happen. And if I'm not mistaken, Arkansas and Boise State has never played Notre Dame. So
Oh,
two teams that has never been on Notre Dame's schedule. So that's exciting. So the Boise State game, October 4th at home. They got to travel to South Bend to the Golden Dome. I'm going to say Notre Dame wins this game the tune of 27-13.
Yeah. I think Arkansas would have got to play y'all in 1977 if they would have beat Texas, but y'all ended up playing Texas for the national championship game, and y'all shut my man Earl Campbell down and won that national championship that year. Otherwise, it would have probably been Arkansas had they defeated Texas. But that's why we Texas. We go to 90s.
Okay, I see you, Rob. That's good stuff.
I had to throw that in real quick. Next up, y'all get NC State. They travel to South Bend. What's your thoughts on this? This is a conference game. Well, not really a conference game, but y'all matched up with the ACC scheduling wise. So, what's your thoughts on this matchup with NC State?
Old fashioned beatdown. Nothing to see there. I don't think NC State. Every once in a while, NC State will have a team who can compete and possibly pull off some big upsets, but I don't see this year. I think Notre Dame is going to barbecue NC State. It's probably be the game that Love rushes for over 200 yards.
Yeah. Well, this next game is the game we're wondering if these two teams are going to renew this rivalry. USC travels to South Bend this year to play in what appears to be the last one, maybe for a while, unless they work some things out. What's your thoughts on this game against USC? You're playing a Big Ten team, Lincoln Riley. You know the offense is going to be there. What's your thoughts on this game? This is a pretty tough matchup. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, what a rivalry. What a rivalry. And we don't know exactly how good USC is going to be. We know they're going to be good on offense, but can they get that defense up to par to compete in the Big Ten? That remains to be seen. But a lot of people who say after the first game Notre Dame has a soft schedule. We could look up and USC could be right up there at the top of the Big Ten. And that could happen. I'm not saying it's likely, but it could happen. I think Notre Dame is pissed that USC is trying to run from them. I think they get the victory at home October 18th. I'm going to call it 37-28.
Melissa was commenting on that NC State game, and she said she had a former student who was at NC State, so she'll be at that game in South Bend, Indiana. So hopefully, they can pull out the victory, and her former student can at least make a play or two, so she can have something to root about, other than her Notre Dame Fighting Irish whipping up on them boys.
Hey, Melissa, are you tailgating that day? Let us know in the comment section.
FanDuel saying believes that USC is going to pull out that victory 31-27. And Michael was saying USC does not win the Bend.
Yeah,
Don't win in the Bend.
Michael Campbell know what he talking about.
she's she's Melissa said Riley is a fool. You can't stop our offense with no defense, just like always. T1 got Notre Dame winning a close one against USC. But he said he got USC beat Michigan though. Okay, okay. She said she
Ooh,
probably might be tailgating that day. So maybe you might see Melissa Graham out there tailgating. She will probably have some alligator or something like that on the grill.
okay, I know what to look
I
for
just
then.
I just joking. All right, let's tackle this next game after that USC game. You'll travel to Boston College, where a former Windsor student will be playing for Boston College. I don't know if he's a true freshman, so I don't know if he's going to get no run or not. But according to his parents and his grandmother, they're saying he's doing really, really well down there. So hopefully we get to see a glimpse of him. I'm definitely going to be tuned into this game because I want to see if the young man gets out there on the field. He plays safety or cornerback, either one of those defensive back positions, and maybe even play wide receiver. So I don't know exactly where he's going to be out there, but he played all of that at Reynoldsburg High School. Hopefully, we'll get to see him. What's your thoughts on them against Boston College?
Yeah, the games like this in the last few games we've talked about, I think Notre Dame will be able to impose their will with the running game and have Jeremiah Love and Jadarian Price running wild. So I think this is the case in this game. I believe Notre Dame wins in the tune of 42-10.
32-10. Okay, okay. Next up, y'all got Navy, a team that y'all really it's almost like you two are tied at the hip, more so than probably any other team, just because of the history that y'all have in terms of. Um, I think they might have helped y'all out at one point in time financially, and kept Notre Dame afloat for a minute, or one of the, or maybe all of the military schools. I'm not 100% sure, but what's your thoughts on Navy, and can they give y'all a little bit of trouble in South Bend?
Yeah, Navy teams like Army and Navy are very difficult to prepare for, man. I got all the respect in the world for the Naval Academy. And just when it comes to football, I gotta be a little disrespectful, but I respect that program and what they do and what they stand for. But I'm gonna go Notre Dame 42-6.
42-6. What's your thoughts on Notre Dame traveling to Pittsburgh? This back end of the season is I ain't gonna say it's what you want, but if you're going really, really well at the beginning part of the season and you're winning all your games, you kind of want to have some cupcakes towards the end. And it looked like Notre Dame might have a chance to do that and go ahead and get some guys healthy if they've been banged up early in the season. What's your thoughts on Notre Dame at Pittsburgh? And can Pittsburgh possibly pull an upset?
No, if Notre Dame, excuse me, if Notre Dame is going to get upset by anyone, it'll be that Arkansas Boise State slate of the schedule. I don't think once we get to this point of the schedule, I think Notre Dame would be clicking on all cylinders. Jeremiah Love would be running wild, and you'll possibly hear him as a Heisman candidate, if not the favorite. Just depends on how the season goes. It's hard to beat out those quarterbacks, but I think Notre Dame demolishes Pittsburgh, and it won't be close. I'm gonna call it 42-7.
42-7. That's a shellacking right there. That's a shellacking. She said BC is only getting 3 points. Three
People want the
points.
game to end, and it would never.
Yeah, I think she might be talking about that Navy game. We got two more games on the schedule. We really feel like they're going to be easy cupcake games. We got Syracuse traveling in the South Bend. What's your thoughts on that one? Can Syracuse do like they did Miami last year without the quarterback?
Yeah, Rob, I listen. I'm not sure if Syracuse is going to be a cupcake this year. I'm really not. They could be, but I'm not sure because Syracuse is getting a little bit of hype amongst their fan base, and they did get transfer quarterback Steve Angeli from Notre Dame, who stepped into the playoff game against Penn State and kind of woke that offense up. Steve Angeli can play ball. He just wasn't going to beat out those talented quarterbacks we got competing for the job now. So he transferred to Syracuse. Syracuse in that ACC, and they play Clemson and those ACC teams. I'm not I I'm not ready to call Syracuse a cupcake quite yet. It might end up that way, but I gotta see first because they're getting a little bit of hype. But I'm gonna say at home, Notre Dame wins this game. I'm gonna call it close. I'm gonna call it Notre Dame 27-20.
All right. So say Notre Dame is 11-0 at this time of the year. They already probably solidified themselves as one of the 12 teams in the college football playoffs. They travel to Stanford the last game of the season. Will they rest some guys or will they go out there and pound Stanford out there in California? What's your thoughts on this one? And if they already are locked for the CFP, will they go ahead and rest some guys and get ready for that time of the season?
Well, they'll do both, Rob. They'll do both. They'll shellac them, and then they'll rest all the starters. So going into the third quarter, going into the fourth quarter, they'll be up big. This might be the game we get our goose egg. I'm going to say Stanford doesn't even score. Notre Dame rolls them and gets ready for another playoff run. I'm going to call this game 42-0.
All right, all right. Melissa Graham said Andrew Luck can't save Stanford again.
Oh no, Uh, ain't no saving on this time.
No, that's right. Let me ask you this, because Parlay Poe wants to know: will Notre Dame and Michigan renew that rivalry or that series that they had before? Would you like to see that? Do you think it's going to happen? Is it something that you think is out there?
If it was up to me, Notre Dame and Michigan would have never stopped playing. But unfortunately, it's not up to me. Um, I would like Notre Dame, I believe, with their contract with the ACC, they were trying to move away from Midwest games. I mean, I know they got Purdue, but you know, I, they normally used to play Purdue, Michigan, and Michigan State. So I believe Notre Dame wanted to base their schedule because they're contracted with the ACC to play 4 or 5 ACC games every season. So I believe they wanted to, match that. But there's no doubt in my mind, like the Michigan Notre Dame rivalry was something special, and I wish they would get back to it soon. I know coming up in years to come, we got Texas, Alabama, and Clemson on the schedule, which is that's some big cojones to schedule. You gotta have big cojones to schedule something like that. Texas, Alabama, and Clemson. But me personally, I would like to see Michigan back on the schedule. I think it's awesome for the game of football, college football. So, Poe, yes, I would love to see Michigan and Notre Dame play again.
We also got Kevin Thomas in the chat. He's a huge Miami Hurricanes fan. What can you say to him that can give him some confidence that they might be able to hang with your Notre Dame Fighting Irish? Or is there no chance?
There's nothing I can give you, my man. Y'all going that and now listen, my man, that doesn't mean Miami is gonna have a bad season. I think Notre Dame is gonna crush your Hurricanes this season, but I believe Miami and that ACC they could bounce back and make a run. For me, Miami, it all depends on Carson Beck and if he's able to hold up and stay healthy. I do think they got some promising players on defense, and it's the U. It's Miami. It's good for college football when the U is popping.
Yeah, facts. A lot of people in the chat feel like Notre Dame, with their schedule, had the best chance of going undefeated out of any team in college football, even though they got a difficult stretch there when they got Miami, Texas A&M, Arkansas, Boise State, USC. What's your thoughts on that? Do you feel like they got a good chance of going undefeated with the team that they have, if they can go injury free or not sustain any major injuries this season? Can you see them going undefeated?
Absolutely, man. I think they'll go undefeated this season and into the playoffs. Listen, people think just because I'm a Notre Dame fan that I'm going to give them all the favors I gave them in this stream today. But this is my honest opinion. What Marcus Freeman is building at Notre Dame, defense, the secondary, the linebackers, the defensive line, the wide receivers, having these young, talented quarterbacks, even though they don't have any experience, not much experience, in that offensive line, especially the running back room. Marcus Freeman is building something special at Notre Dame. And to do what he did last season in the playoffs after that terrible, ugly, musty loss to NIU, bro, Marcus Freeman is doing something special at Notre Dame, and I'm here for it.
Yeah, I feel you. I feel you. Melissa Graham said, KT, she said, if Carson Beck is in a relationship, y'all cooked. And KT said, not so fast, my friend. 27-20, the U.
Yeah, man, I understand you gotta rep your team, and I like the U, but man, y'all gonna hold that L, my friend.
All right, all right, all right. Let me see what else we got in here before we get ready to close out the stream. In the program for 3 years, CJ. All right, all right. So let me ask you this before we get ready to wrap it up. If y'all make the CFP, is this the year y'all kick the door down?
Notre Dame definitely has the talent to kick the door down. If this is a huge fish for for Marcus Freeman. All right, Kevin Thomas. Listen, we get past these dog days of summer, and we gonna get that college football. It's coming. It's coming fast. We gonna see, homie. But Notre Dame, I would like to see them, uh, avoid the trap game. Continue to build on that momentum for having such a great season last year. I think they're definitely a contender. I'm not ready to make a call on the national champion, although I do have faith in the Irish. I gotta keep it funky. It's a long season. A lot of things can happen, but if they go undefeated, I like their chances. I'm gonna say that.
Any guys on this roster you think that will make the All American team?
Yeah, you'll probably see Charles Jagasaw. You'll probably see Jeremiah Love. You might see Eli Raritan at tight end. On the defensive side, maybe Bubakar, maybe Young, and yeah, of course, Leonard, and maybe a Don Schuler. So Leonard Moore, maybe a Don Schuler, Bryce Young, Jeremiah Love, maybe Eli Raritan.
Okay, 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 okay. You named off a lot of people out there, bro. All right, well, man, I appreciate you. Well, I mean, you got three teams, so yeah, they can always, or even honorable mention, so they can always make one of those.
Mhm.
Um, I appreciate you coming on the show, man, sharing your thoughts about your Notre Dame Fighting Irish. I hope they have a successful season because if you're on this podcast, and we're going to be podcasting a lot from now until the season is over, you always want to be on the winning side of things because if you're not, you know you're going to hear from the brothers that's on the show with you. So
Oh yeah,
I'm
they
on
they
the
going
winning side of things.
Oh yeah, they gonna let you know about it. For that's for sure. Especially hey, week one, Texas and Ohio State. Stay tuned.
Yeah, for sure, for sure, for sure. You're welcome, Melissa. I'm glad I was able to get in contact with you so you could join the show tonight. We appreciate you. Huge Notre Dame fan. We talk every morning when we come into work around 7:30 and we just talk sports for about 10, 15 minutes. And then Isaiah comes in and try to bum rush the show with his little nonsense. But, we still love him. We still love him.
Yeah, she
All
know
right,
her.
everybody. Huh?
I was just gonna say she know her sports,
Oh, she
man. I
knows,
like her.
yeah, bro. She knows her stuff for sure. She definitely know her stuff. We appreciate everybody for tuning in. We thank you again post game. And guess what, y'all? We out. Peace.